3 years after Dylan died, I was diagnosed with advanced tuberculosis. That day, I dug open his grave with my own hands. I wanted to lie beside him. But when the coffin cracked open, it was empty. 1. Where's Dylan? I wore crimson from head to toe, a long sword in my grip, and strode straight to the Sterling gates. Guards poured out and ringed me in seconds. Mother's eyes were bloodshot, she looked more terrified of my blade than of death itself. Sam, Adrian has been dead 3 years. The casket held no body. I smiled at her. You lied. 3 years ago the Sterling heir had fallen in battle. They buried him before I ever saw the corpse. I alone was kept from the viewing. They knew show me even a single misshapen finger and I would know whether it was truly him. It had all been premeditated. A needle of grievance slid into my heart, my nose stung before I could stop it. Mother Sterling, bring Dylan out. I know he's the princess's royal consort now. Yesterday. I saw him. The words left my lips in a hush, my mouth curved in a smile while my heart crumbled to grit. High on his tall horse, he no longer wore the face I remembered, he now called himself Julian. Facial disguise or identity graft, I couldn't tell. All I knew was I couldn't be wrong, and all I wanted was an answer. I'm not unreasonable, call off our engagement if you wish, but why deceive me? For 3 years I wore myself ragged with grief, only when I'm dying do I learn the truth. Unfair. 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 I lifted my long sword again, sprang across the courtyard, and laid the edge against Mother Sterling's throat. Tears streamed down her face. Sam, let it go. I only want to see him. Don't you pity me, Mother? At 16, Dylan and I sealed the soul pact. He swore that with shadow blood in his veins, the bond made me forever his. Even after death I never considered marrying another. Today he not only changed his name but ruined me with his own hands. I want an explanation. When Jamie yielded nothing, I headed for the palace. I leapt over the wall, but the blood in my chest finally rebelled. A crimson spray hit the flagstones. Sam. Mother Sterling's shriek cracked, the handkerchief in her fist twisted tighter. Silly child, why torture yourself? Just pretend he's dead. Death is easy, Mother Sterling, yet even the dead leave corpses. I stubbornly wiped my mouth, tears splashed into the blood at my feet. I will have my answer. What's sown in joy is reaped in sorrow. Who must pay the deeper debt? I refuse to accept this end. 2. I pressed my chest and limped toward the palace gates. Today the royal consort was taking the princess kite flying in Northridge. The road had been strung with red silk to honor her outing. They should be returning about now. Make way, princess returning, commoners back. Dust billowed behind me, citizens knelt in waves. Only I pushed against the tide, fighting forward with everything I had. Stop. A sweet voice drifted from the carriage. Girl, why do you follow us? Ignoring the princess, I stared at the black-cloaked figure beside her, the man I'd yearned for, counted to 5 years. Seeing him, my urge to kill bled away. I dropped to my knees, tears and grievance mingled, but I forced them not to fall. Sam begs no trouble, only asks for 5 copper tokens. Those 5 coins were the ones I'd knelt until my knees bled to procure, the ones etched with the rarest blessing runes. If Dylan recognized them and returned them, I would give him the calm chance to explain. That was all I asked, watching, hoping. The man on the carriage was ice, the answer was obvious. After several frozen heartbeats he wouldn't even glance at me. He didn't acknowledge me. My heart split in 2. Forget it, I should have known this would end in blood. Only then did the stranger's brows draw tight, patience shredding. Julian yanked the princess into his arms, afraid of what I might blurt next. Her Highness is kindness itself, just a rude obstruction, drag her away. At his word, guards lunged to bind me. Julian even covered the princess's eyes, his own gaze would not touch me again. Assassins block princesses these days, Casey. I looked at him and laughed. Dylan, you don't dare claim me. You don't dare claim me. I raised my sword to strike, but a flying stone slammed my shoulder and I slammed into the dirt. In the end they hauled me to a bean curd stall. A guard scooped 5 coins from the vendor's box and slapped them into my palm. Here 5 copper tokens. Don't follow again. Anyone who blocks Her Highness must have a death wish. My arm hung dislocated. I sat staring at the coins reeking of tofu. 5 coins, yes, yet not mine. I laughed until the dam inside me burst and tears flooded out. He hadn't killed me even when I charged the carriage, sword drawn. He would not take my life. He couldn't bear my death. Dylan, chase your grand design, but you owe me more than you can repay. Soon rain dotted my face, dissolved into droplets, and slipped beneath my collar. Mississippi Rosie ran toward me, umbrella tilted. Rosie, it hurts so much. My lips quivered, no sound came. I'm dying. Before I die, I want an answer. Rosie, spread the word, the sterling heir's betrothed is wasting away. Dylan, don't blame me, I've no choice but to gamble my life. 3. That night I slipped back into Jamie and sat quietly in Dylan's old room. By tomorrow the whole city would know I was sick. Once, that would have driven him insane. He loved me to the marrow. Now I'm no longer sure, but the stake is my life. I reached for the soul jade on the bedside table, the talisman from when we sealed our soul pact. Inside were the scrolls bearing our birth dates. I slid his out and studied it again and again. Then I slid out mine. This was the first time I had ever removed both at once. Click, another secret drawer popped open. Nested inside the jade lay a slip of paper I had never seen. Puzzled, I lifted it gently and unfolded it. Must not live, must not live. The characters froze me, my body plunged into an icy abyss. Dylan's old promises echoed in my skull. Alex, your life is my life. If you die, I die. Alex, don't do anything reckless, I'll worry. Alex, you were born under the luckiest star. So this is the truth. My fingers trembled as I read it over and over, praying my eyes deceive me. No mistake. Dylan bound me with the soul pact only to hijack my fortune, to let me carry his illness, to trade my breath for his so long as I didn't die. I sank to my knees and laughed, my gaze hollow, the last spark in my eyes snuffed out. Just then the lock outside turned. Your Highness, the late eldest young master's study holds the city's only surviving manual on waterworks. A faint grunt answered. Leave me, I'll fetch it alone. Yes, sir. It was Dylan. He had come. 4. I gathered the last of my strength and melted into the shadows beside the window. Thus I watched him ignore the waterworks treatise and lift the dagger I once gave him, its hilt wrapped in crimson silk, hidden in a niche only he and I knew. He plotted against me to the end. Now, seeing this blade, does his heart skip? I swallowed the hatred rising in my throat. The next instant Dylan turned, heading for the spot where the soul jade had lain, proof he came for the jade itself. Dylan, I whispered, slipping the jade into the window's secret groove. My dry rasp blended with the night. The soft click of the mechanism was masked by my voice. Dylan froze, his narrow eyes 2 pits of pitch hostile, nothing like the softness I once knew. Still, that gaze was the one that had haunted 1,000 dreams, undeniable. I couldn't have mistaken him. I laughed bitterly, hurt, furious, unwilling, yet I still had to play ignorant. Why did you come back if you refused to acknowledge me? My eyes were red. I could only pretend I didn't know the truth, staring at him stubbornly, as if I could bore straight through him. I wanted to see his heart. Had everything between us been nothing but exploitation? Had he sealed the soul pact only for my life? Had every single thing been a lie? Dylan stood motionless, his dark eyes turning darker. He clearly hadn't expected me here. Yet he didn't hesitate. He gave me one icy glance, then started toward the place the soul jade was kept. Clutching my chest, I threw myself into his arms, blocking his way, selfish to the end. I tried to awaken the man he used to be, the Dylan who once spoiled and loved me. The familiar woody scent rushed into my nose, but something was still off. He wasn't my Adrian. No, he wasn't. Missing that man again, Taylor? But I'm Julian, don't mistake me. Today I'm only here to pack up a few things for him. I watched him die on that battlefield. He mentioned you, so Taylor, stay alive, that would comfort him most. He stayed still, yet he kept pushing me farther and farther away. I coughed up a mouthful of blood onto his open black coat. The moment the stain spread, his gaze dimmed. I smiled bitterly, eyes crimson, but obstinately wiped the blood from my lips. You're Dylan, right? We sealed the soul pact. Don't you remember? Before the South Hill you promised me a lifetime. Sure enough, at the word soul pact, panic flickered in his eyes. I wondered whether that flicker held even a shred of regret. I tore at his clothes with all my strength. And there it was, over his heart my name was gone. He had erased it. In its place stretched a long scar. Rage blazed to its limit, I swallowed it back again and again. Dylan, did you ever love me? Even for a second? I asked, voice cracking, tears brimming until his face blurred. He didn't answer. Taylor, do you know what happens to a woman who strips the royal consort in front of the princess? Probably nothing but death, I'd say. I smiled at him, disappointment flooding my eyes. Meeting his cold face, I snatched the dagger from his sleeve and drove it straight toward my heart. Fine, I was dying anyway. Let the soul pact bind us, we'd die together. This blade would sever every last tie. But the moment the tip sank half an inch, Dylan struck it away. Blood gushed, brighter than the rubies set in the hilt. Serena, you're insane. He pressed frantically at the wound. Why throw your life away? My eyes drifted shut. In the end, the only thing he cared about was my life. The texts say the one bound by the pact must be pure and true, unswayed by the world, sincere to the core. So when I was 15 and stepped onto the dueling platform meant only for men, he chose me. My life has been nothing but pity, misery, helplessness, desolation. What I thought was love turned out to be mere use. When I woke again, I was soaking in a medicinal bath. Outside, royal physicians stood in a gloomy cluster. Lord Knight, this girl's advanced tuberculosis is terminal, and last night's knife wound. I'm afraid. Worthless, all of you. If anything happens to her, none of you will leave this place alive. Dylan's furious snarl rang out. After a long hush he repeated, low and fierce, whatever the cost, keep her alive, her life is mine. Their talk was all of how to preserve my breath. I lay in the tub and, for once, the pain felt distant. Looking around, I saw neither Jamie nor the princess's estate. This must be Dylan's private hideaway. Of course, how could he let the princess learn of me? Keeping me alive in the dark was exactly what he wanted. Pity I hadn't died, nor taken him with me. Soon the water cooled, the door opened and a maid entered to dress me. Miss, Lord Knight is waiting in Bright Elegance Pavilion. This reckoning had to come. I wouldn't hide. Knight Estate, Bright Elegance Pavilion. The page left me at the door. Before I could push it open, Dylan's roar and the crack of a whip sounded inside. Idiots! Turn Jamie upside down if you must, but find that soul jade. Yes, royal consort. The boy's voice quavered, at the limit of endurance. The next instant the door burst open, a blood-smeared, death-pale face appeared, whip wheels striping his body. Cameron, he whispered, bowing. The reek of blood hit me. I drew a vial from my sleeve and pressed it into his hand. For the pain. Dylan's voice followed, what are you waiting for? Begone. The boy's eyes held helpless gratitude. He left. Dylan yanked me inside and slammed the door. The medicine bottle clattered to the floor, then a rain of frantic kisses fell on me. Sam, I missed you so much. His voice was hoarse, stretched to breaking. You're not allowed to pity anyone else, and you're not allowed to die. He trembled, iron arms locking my head in place. You're mine, Sam. I'll tell you everything, just stay alive. You can't ever thrust a knife at your heart again, it tears me apart. So he confessed, he acknowledged me. Only because my suicide proved I'd lost the will to live did he think to trap me with love again. So simple, making my former stubborn faith a joke. I slapped him hard. You're alive, why didn't you claim me? I begged you, and still you denied me. I stared, wanting to see what new trick he would play. In the end, unless I died, he couldn't live either. My heart was dead, I sought only death. Looking into his eyes, I felt no love left. Panic flashed across Dylan's face. Sam, switching identities was the only way to escape the death sentence waiting on that battlefield. I couldn't bear to leave you, so I came back. He released me and drew 5 copper tokens from inside his robe, strung together, clean and bright as the day he'd left. He tried to press them into my hand, I flung the string to the floor. Too late. I don't need those 5 copper tokens anymore. You've married the princess and changed your face, so let's say goodbye here and now. His excuses might have fooled me once, but now they were riddled with holes. If he couldn't bear to leave me, if his fate was truly sealed. The truth was, as long as I lived, he was in no danger at all. I only wanted to leave, to fetch the soul jade hidden in the secret drawer of Jamie's window. But Dylan held me tighter, misreading my intent. Sam, you're the only one I ever wanted to marry. I'm Julian now. Without wedding the princess I could never enter the capital. I denied you so you would forget me. Now I claim you so you'll stay alive. I have my reasons, I dash. Do you? But I'm dying. I smiled, tears slipping free. I have days left at most, I don't care about his reasons. He owes me a life. You won't. Dylan's brows knotted, he seized my hands. I won't let you die, you can't. I gave a soft laugh at his alarm, what he couldn't bear to lose was his own life. Advanced tuberculosis has hollowed my bones, there is no cure. A long silence stretched between us as we stared at each other. Then from outside came a herald's cry. The princess has arrived. Dylan's brows snapped together the instant he heard. Should your royal consort hide me, my lord? I asked coolly, icily polite, the words stabbing him. He refused to let go, stubbornly he pulled me outside with him. Princess stood beside the pond, her gown lavish enough to be woven from gold and silver. Brother Junua, I heard you took in a patient last night, this princess has come to see. Her gaze fixed on Dylan's hand clasping mine, venomous, as if I'd stolen what belonged to her. Aren't you the beggar who wanted money? I gave you 5 copper tokens, why are you still here? She called me beggar, I gave no answer, for displeasure was already darkening Dylan's face. He held out for 3 seconds, then gave in anyway. Dylan released my hand, his face wearing a counterfeit smile of affection. Truly shameless. Alex, she's in the final stages of tuberculosis and used to be General Sterling's fiancée. Alex, I owe Dylan, so I can't bear to watch her die. His voice was gentle, laced with persuasion. That routine always worked best. Princess smiled tenderly, the page at her side spurred his horse straight back to the palace. Yes, the general traded his life for yours, this princess should thank him. Since the royal consort doesn't want her to die, then she shall be cured. Little Fuzi, fetch the finest royal physician, see that she does not die and grieve the consort. Yes, your highness. The servant galloped toward the gate while Princess's bright eyes fixed on Dylan as though asking for praise. Julian, I never guessed she was the general's widow. Outside they're saying she's nearly gone, what sort of coffin should we prepare? Dylan didn't move, but when he heard them talking about a coffin for me the air around him turned icy. She won't die. Princess, startled that Dylan had contradicted her, mistook it for simple displeasure and stepped up to peck his cheek. Don't be angry, Julian, I'll save her. Dylan stood frozen for a long moment, finally offering a bitter smile. His gaze flicked to me reassuring, but I didn't feel sad anymore, only sick. Still, I'd learned one thing, Rosie had already spread the word that I was dying. I'd meant to use that to force Dylan to acknowledge me, now I didn't need to. Princess nestled against his chest, murmuring how I was unworthy of the late general. Dylan listened without the slightest objection, he would never anger the princess over me. As long as my life wasn't in danger, I was nothing more than a plaything to him. The atmosphere between the two grew intimate. I curtsied to leave, but Dylan stopped me. Cameron, you'll stay in the West Wing to recover. West Wing. There was no West Wing in this compound. West Wing had been my secret haven at the Vance Manor. Whenever he'd upset me he'd drag me there to make up. Hearing him mention it now turned my stomach. A slap followed by a kiss? But I wasn't a child any longer. I walked away without looking back, yet I still caught the ugly words. Julian, Vivian's a little upset. Alex is the kindest, she'll understand. 9. The whole afternoon I stayed in the medicinal bath chamber, watching a squad of palace doctors dash about. How do you treat tuberculosis this advanced? No idea, but if she dies, the princess and the consort will have our heads. Their grumbling lulled me until a shriek jerked me awake. I've got it. The kingdom has 1,000-year Lingji that can save her. An elderly royal physician bounced up. She's saved. 1,000-year Lingji easier said than found. I was awake now and sleep was gone. Outside, night had fallen. Where are the princess and the consort? I looked at the cluster of old men, they blushed and avoided my eyes. Naturally off being affectionate, the princess can leave the palace only once a month, one muttered, only to be scolded. They're not even married yet, you old fool. Slander the princess and you'll pay for it. I'd had enough of their bickering and went out for air. Near the garden I ran into Princess. She sat by the pond, staring into the distance as if lost in thought. I meant to pass by, but her maid spotted me. You low-born wretch, why didn't you come pay respects? 10. A slap sent me stumbling. Fresh pain stacked on old, I couldn't hold back the blood that spurted from my mouth. The maid shrank back, then burst out laughing at Princess. Your Highness, I didn't know she was so fragile. No matter. A rude commoner killing her would be within my rights. Merely the general's widow, do you think I care? If the consort weren't merciful, I'd flay you alive for daring to touch my man. Clutching my ribs I stood, wiped the blood from my lips, and met Princess's contemptuous stare. Then go ahead, kill me. Right then, death was the last thing I feared. I didn't curtsy, instead I lifted the freshly poured tea the maid had set out for Princess. Let this lowborn rinse her mouth with your Highness's tea. I spat. Blood-flecked tea landed at Princess's feet. The pampered princess jumped back, hugging her skirts. You! Filthy wretch! Seize her! Furious, she didn't see Dylan approaching from behind just in time to block her view of me. I took a long gulp from the teapot. Another, and another. Princess squealed, retreating step after step until she teetered on the pond's edge. I lunged, catching her skirt, and we plunged into the water. At her ear I whispered. Your Highness, I wager your consort will save me first because he is Dylan, not Julian. Doubt it? Burn Jamie and watch how frantic he becomes. Sam. Threaten his life and Dylan will choose me. I held the princess under so she couldn't surface. Together we watched Dylan dive in and swim straight for me, pulling me up first. I choked on pond water, but I saw the disbelief in her eyes. Burn Jamie and the soul jade will blacken. Dylan told me that when we sealed the soul pact. He said it was Shadow's treasure, that it turns black in danger and looks like any common stone, nearly impossible to find. If I can't get out, then neither can he. 11. The next time I came to, I was in a hidden chamber. Is there really no way to save her? Dylan's voice drifted over, thick with disappointment, sounding genuinely grieved. Spirit Lord, this girl's lifespan has run out. The year you swapped fates she was already drained of essence. The soul pact must be broken. The rotted, rasping voice belonged to Elder, the very man who had performed the rite for Dylan and me back then. Sure enough, they were in it together. When Dylan faked his death all those years ago, this man came to see me. He told me to live well, to live for Dylan. Basically, he wanted me to prolong Dylan's life. My life was his life. The royal physician says the 1,000-year Lingji of the kingdom can heal her. Absolutely not. Spirit Lord, that fungus is too toxic. To save her you would have to consume it yourself, too many variables, I can't guarantee the outcome. We could lose both lives. I lay with eyes shut, listening to Dylan sob. Uncle, seeing her so close to death, why does it hurt this much? The Spirit Lord carries the world in his heart, but the princess is your rightful match. This girl is merely a luck-filled spirit, it is her honor to devote herself to you. I listened in silence, nauseated by their words. Even if they obtained the Lingji, Dylan would be the one to eat it, he would never risk his own life. So the only option was to sever the soul pact, after which my life would no longer threaten his. Whether I lived or died would be none of his concern. Then what of everything I've endured all these years? The pact would not be broken. Why should I let go? I'd drag him down with me. While I plotted, that parched voice spoke again. Spirit Lord, you must find that piece of soul jade before the 8th of next month. I will perform the rite. This old slave will sever the soul pact for you, even at the cost of my life. Already you carry Julian's destiny, you no longer need a luck maiden to ward off calamity. Be here on the 3rd. Dylan said nothing. Elder paused, then pressed on. Perhaps once the pact is broken, the girl's fate might also change. Only then did I feel the warmth of Dylan's hand. He gripped me tighter and gave a low, reluctant I found him sickening, plainly clinging to his own life, yet pretending otherwise. But that piece of soul jade would soon be charred black, no one would ever obtain it. Dylan's frown deepened and his tone chilled. Somehow the soul jade has gone missing. I went to look for it 2 days ago, but Sam stabbed herself, I carried her home in haste, and when I went back the stone was gone. What? Lost? The old voice cracked louder, shock laid bare. Could the girl have hidden it? Impossible, that day she still knew nothing. A tense hush fell. Then came an announcement from outside, Royal Consort, the princess is awake. Dylan rose to leave, but a page burst in panting, the same boy Dylan had whipped. Young master, Jamie. Jamie. What of Jamie? Elder snapped. The boy collapsed without catching breath. Your servant couldn't find the soul jade. I'd searched one room when the building caught fire. The blaze was fierce, I barely escaped. I drew a hidden breath. How swiftly the princess acted, burning it without hesitation. Elder, furious, swung a slap that knocked the boy sideways. Useless wretch. The stone's coated so fire turns it black, how could you locate it in time? 12-inch fools. The room froze, Dylan finally spoke again. We'll have to request Sam's father let us oversee Jamie's restoration. We'll assign extra men. That old man is stubborn. Elder muttered. Then kill him and replace him with our people. Dylan's voice was ice, the air itself dropped several degrees. How could he? I clenched my fists, forcing down a cry of hatred. He has already ruined my life, and now he wants Dad's. Dylan, you truly stop at nothing. All that former tenderness was a performance. How shameless can you be? Is your life so precious it justifies sacrificing everyone else? He suddenly bent low. I felt cold lips brush my forehead while I fought the urge to kill him. Sam, don't blame me. I have to live. I must wed the princess to follow heaven's will and safeguard Shadow. In the beginning I used you, but my heart can't lie anymore. I love you. Don't hold it against me. Cool tears fell on my fingertips as Dylan wept. His so-called helpless obedience to destiny had demolished my entire existence. I had loved him, given my very life for him. Now I felt only hatred, yet no regret. But now, when he threatened Dad, I did regret. I truly regretted ever exposing him. I had forgotten what a beast he was. I could not let him harm Dad, never. After a while Dylan left. I sat up, my eyes were bloodshot. I had to get home. 13. The chamber door was sealed, the only way out was through the ventilation shaft. I pried off the iron grate just wide enough for my body. Riley, as if tailor-made for me. Something felt off, but I dared not hesitate. I gambled on coincidence. Back at the Vance Manor, Dad stood right outside the gate. 3 days had aged him years. Tears blurred my eyes as I choked out. Dad. I'm home, Dad. I no longer wanted to die. The sight of his gray hair made me crave life. Yet I feared it was too late. Alex, where have you been? I waited an entire day and night. They said you were dying, but I refused to believe and fought them. Only then did I notice the bruises mottling the old man's face. Dad, I'm not dying. I'll live. Your daughter will live. I broke down, all my bitterness finally anchored to a safe shore. Dad, don't let Julian take over Jamie's repair. Why dash? Before I could explain, Julian's men arrived bearing gifts. Dylan led them, meeting my gaze, his face filled with disappointment. As expected, this was calculated. Sam, I thought once you knew the truth you'd wait quietly while I saved you. I do this for the sake of Shadow Dash. Bullshit. I shouted, so enraged I spat blood. Dad jumped in fright. Alex. I'm all right, Dad, just fury. Only remember, whatever happens, don't hand Jamie's restoration to Julian. I stared at Dylan, spikes bristling, eyes locked. For your precious shadow you spent my life and now you want my father's? His gaze flickered coldly. Sam, don't force my hand. Wasn't it you who complained Rowan was too strict, who wished him out of the house? If I kill him we both gain. Gain, I echoed, tears slipping free. Dylan, do you even know what love is? I love you, Sam. I truly do. Just let me find the soul jade, break the pact, and your illness can be cured. Julian's guards ringed the Vance Manor. He thought he could speak his heart without consequence. He was wrong. Dylan, you're wrong. You don't love me, you love your own life. If you loved me, you would have told me the truth while you lived, instead of hiding it, swapping fates with Julian, letting me worry myself to death. If you loved me, you'd have offered me those 5 copper tokens like a beggar, not locked every secret inside that soul jade and made me your scapegoat. You never loved me. From day one you approached me for my life, for the luck clinging to me, for your so-called shadow. Dylan, I know it all. With those last words my strength gave out, my spirit felt hollowed clean. I collapsed to the ground. Rosie sprinted out of the manor, her face streaked with tears. Miss. She slipped a ginseng tablet between my lips, only then did a flicker of strength return. Dylan and I simply stared at each other. His eyes were wide with shock, as if he hadn't expected me to know so much. You knew everything that night you already knew. Yes. That night was the last chance I gave you. I had planned to expose his true face when the Emperor summoned us. But he dragged Dad into it, he wanted Dad dead. Only then did I notice the old man beside me trembling with rage. Alex. Alex. Dad understands now. Dylan, why would you do this to my daughter? Dad's voice rang out, full and furious, tears sliding down his cheeks. You died, and my Sam almost lost half her life. I know the only reason she's still breathing is because this old man is still here. But you pushed too far, you shadow bastard. His wiped out your tribe 30 years ago. You've committed every evil under the sun long ago, you deserve to die. Dad's roar shook my very soul. I should have realized sooner why Dylan never breathed a word about being Shadow. Turns out 30 years ago Shadow was among the 48 clans that were slaughtered. Yet I'd been blinded by him for years. Dad raised his sword, ready to fight Dylan to the death. My heart lurched. He was no match for Dylan. Wait, Dad, please don't. Dad. Dad. Sam, today Dad will rid his of this traitor, this heartless wretch who dared bully my daughter. He rushed straight at Dylan. I tried to stand, but my legs had no strength left. No. An arrow whistled in, knocking Dad's sword to the ground. Imperial decree arriving. 14. The Emperor's decree had come, and I finally breathed. Before returning to the Vance Manor I visited Princess. She was drenched and disheveled from her fall into the lake, yet she looked at me with no more hostility. After she had burned Jamie, Dylan hadn't asked if she was hurt, only whether she could secure Jamie's repairs for him. He was that desperate. Princess stared at me, eyes brimming. Then what of my Julian? I suspected something too, but I secretly had his blood tested against Lord Knight's. There was no mismatch. I told her everything I knew. Then I knelt, forehead to the floor. Your Highness, this lowly woman fears not death. I beg only that you stop him, keep him from harming others, from killing my dad. Princess was silent for a long moment before she lifted me up, her own eyes red. I'll help you. Can the real Julian still return? I don't know, but we must surround Night Manor. There's an elder there hideous, but he knows shadow arts. He might be able to do something. Your Highness, we'll have only one chance. Good. Back to the palace. 15. In the great hall Dylan looked at no one else, only me. 3 hours later a small cart of black stones was wheeled in. Your Majesty, these are all the stones recovered from the ruins. The Emperor waved the bearer away, leaving the stones on the floor. Hi, find it the shadow treasure. Locate it for me. 30 years. The world has nearly forgotten them, yet a remnant dares make trouble. Chongda, how do you plead? Hai Chongda knelt and began examining the stones one by one. Half an hour passed before he chose one. Your Majesty, I was remiss. In the purge I overlooked the son of an official's daughter. I deserve death. Dad knelt too. I am also guilty. Avery, what is your crime? When my daughter was 15 this man sealed a soul pact with her. I failed to see it, abetting shadow ways and ruining my child. I too should die. He knocked his forehead on the marble with dull thuds. I beg your Majesty save my daughter. Dad. I was too weak to stand, I could only slide from my chair. Your Majesty, I seek simple justice. I wish to break my betrothal to Dylan. Even if it kills me, I will no longer be bound to him. Dylan's gaze finally shifted, as if waking from a trance. No, Sam. We will not dissolve it. No. His eyes bloodshot. Sam, I'll abandon shadow, I want only you. When you die, I die. We won't break the soul pact, nor the engagement, never, never dash. Then what about me? Princess strode in from the doorway. Julian, what about me? I'm not Julian. I never loved you. But you were his skin, you flow with his blood, give my Julian back. Weeping, she ran into the Emperor's arms. Father, your daughter was deceived too. Fury mounted on the Emperor's face. At first he had learned only that Julian was Shadowkin, then that Dylan was Julian, and now that Dylan had usurped Julian's very identity. Chongda, how do we undo this? Imperial wrath towered above as Hai, clutching the soul jade, knelt. Find the pact partner, sever the soul pact, then perform a soul summoning for the princess to recover Prince Julian. Dylan will scatter into ash. Then what of my daughter? Dad pushed forward on his knees. Dad. I spoke softly, tugging his sleeve. Daughter is content. I only hate that I didn't see Dylan for what he was sooner. I hate that you, white-haired, must watch me die. Take my life for Sam's. Dylan's tear-filled eyes never left me. He knew the tide had turned, he simply gazed at me, unblinking. I've already sent men to the kingdom. Sam, tomorrow the 1,000-year Lingji will arrive. Can you not break the engagement? No. 16. Wind and rain could not unravel the ache of love. Rosie, seal Dylan's grave. Miss, the coffin is empty. Death, it seems, needs no corpse. 17. Extra. Having one's soul torn away hurts beyond words. I'd felt that pain before, back when I was still Dylan. But at least I saved Sam. Why did Sam never once come to see me, even on the day of execution? The pain, I swear I began to feel the sting of her tuberculosis. That 1,000-year Lingji was poison indeed, thoughts leapt and crashed. I saw again my false corpse carried into the capital, saw Sam weep. She clutched her chest and called me Adrian, Adrian, Adrian. I longed to hear it once more, yet she never came, not even when the last shred of my soul was ripped away. I owe her. Mother, let Dylan out. I know he became the princess's royal consort. Once I lied to her, she was my little lucky star. The first time I saw her she had bested every man, radiant, beautiful, and I loved her. But I couldn't admit it. Elder said I was Shadow's master, duty-bound to avenge our people. My whole life I lived for Shadow, believing I was a worthy leader. Yet in that hall, hearing Sam herself demand the annulment, my heart felt cleaved, within me blizzard and tempest raged. I heard I failed Sam. Next life, I want to live for myself. Sam, my good Sam, next life I won't scheme against you, won't harm your dad. I'll simply love you, only love you. When that time comes, will you still have me? All I ask is to love you. The end.